Welcome to the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by Jonathan Stewart, the all-time Panthers leading rusher, and Schuyler Callihan, beat writer for the Carolina Panthers. That's my bad. I had a tab open for YouTube for this very episode. So as we're going through it, it's just running it back in the background. We're a bit discombobulated today due to the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers basically came in to Bank of America Stadium wearing Carolina Panther mask, and basically were the Carolina Panthers yesterday. We'll get into the statistics. Panthers fall to the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-16 at home. However, for some reason, there's still a chance.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that every single team in the division has a path to the playoffs. Thanks to what happened in the division yesterday. So we weren't the only ones that took it to the chin yesterday. We'll break down what that means, what needs to happen going forward. We still got meaningful football in December, y'all. So, keep your heads up high. Yeah, Pittsburgh came and punched us in the mouth, but we'll get into the reasons why they did so and if it's correctable in just a bit. Before we get going, though, a quick word from our sponsors at Bet Online. Football is back. Bet Online remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events like Major League Baseball, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts and where we typically start on Monday. Of course, it is a Mailbag Monday. So buddy Brad Tippett chimes in. We'll have meaningful football in January also. That's a great way to look at it, Brad. You can chime in with your comments, your hot takes, anything you want to say about the game yesterday, anything you saw that you want to get an opinion on, you can do so on Mailbag Monday here on Believe in Carolina Panthers. Darrell Mason, tough loss yesterday. Run game couldn't get going. Steelers is just the one team that has our number. Shout out to Burrow for doing us a huge solid. McAdoo probably should be on the hot seat. I think we should be thanking Tom Brady, not Joe Burrow. I'll watch that game. The Bucks just exploded. Like, I don't know what in the world. It was like four straight.
Tom was fumbling, throwing interceptions. He was doing it all, man.
Like, come on, NFC South. Come with us on this journey in December together. Let's do it all together, because Tampa could have just put a stranglehold on this division over the past 2 weeks. And
I will say, if they had one more minute left, they could have won that game.
Tampa. I mean, and then Atlanta they fell to the Saints. That was the one that we needed to kind of happen to keep everything even keel. Otherwise, the Falcons would have been in first place this morning, if I'm not mistaken, if they had won that game. So this is the wild NFC South, man. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of the division in just a bit. But first, I want to get my guys' opinion on what they saw yesterday. Steelers, Panthers, 24-16 win by the Steelers. Like I said, the main thing that stuck out to me was the Steelers basically took our identity and used it as their own, or maybe we've been using their identity the whole time. I know they've won 3 of the past 4 contests. Stu, let's start off with you. What were your initial thoughts by the end of that contest yesterday, the Panthers falling at home to the Steelers?
We talked about it last week. The keys to winning this game was winning in the trenches. You got to control the line of scrimmage. And yesterday, the Steelers did that really well. We knew going into this game that we were playing a Steelers team that is well coached. And we saw a well coached team yesterday. They did the basic fundamentals, which is be physical at the point of contact and on both sides of the ball. The first downs specifically for the Steelers offense, whenever you make positive gains on first downs, it opens your whole entire playbook. And we didn't do a good job of stopping them on first downs throughout the course of the game, allowing them to just essentially be able to do whatever they want.
They had 22 first downs yesterday compared to our 12, just to frame Stu saying there.
Yeah. And I think when we stop them on first down, then it shrinks their playbook, right? meaning, okay, it's 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 8. Dang, we have to pass essentially. You know what I'm saying? So like let's get Mitch Trubisky uncomfortable earlier on in the game. Make him feel the pressure early on in the game to where he might, make those games like he had last week, 3 interceptions in the red zone. I would have loved to see that happen yesterday for us, but got to win on first down and get off the field. Time of possession, lopsided. I think we had 23 minutes to their 34 minutes or whatever you want. Whatever. It was a lopsided time of possession. The amount of plays ran, I think we ran like 40. They ran like 68. You can't get anything done when you scale back and look at what has taken place in that game. It was lopsided throughout the whole time, but we still gave ourselves a chance at the end there, scoring 9 in the fourth quarter. Still had an opportunity, and I think that's one positive, if there is any, to see that our team was able to stay in it even when they shot themselves in the foot on both sides of the ball.
Schuyler, your thoughts? Because to echo off of what Stu was saying, the Steelers broke a record yesterday. They had like a 21 play drive or something nuts on offense. Like, I have to admit, I was watching this game off on the side when it was initially on because A&T was playing in the Chris Paul HBCU challenge. So I was producing that game. It was on at 2:00. So I had that on at the same time. So I'm kind of looking at it and like producing and looking at it and producing. And it felt like we never had the football. It felt like Pittsburgh had the football the entire day. Like every time I looked over, it was Pittsburgh on offense on like a 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5 or whatever. Then I look back over and it's like 1st and 10. I'm like, man, what is going on? What were your thoughts sitting there watching that at Bank of America Stadium? Was that more Pittsburgh just imposing their will on a team like we have been doing 3 of the past 4 games where we've won games the same way? Or was it a matter of something Carolina wasn't doing that Pittsburgh took advantage of?
I mean, you got to give credit to Pittsburgh for at least executing their game plan. But from what I saw initially, I haven't gone back and rewatched the game yet. Usually that's what I do on Monday night. Is I saw a lot of guys overplaying stuff. I saw a lot of guys out of their gaps. I saw a lot of missed tackles. I saw a lot of arm tackles. You're not going to bring down Najee Harris with your hands. Like, you're just not going to do it. And even Jalen Warren, the rookie running back out of Oklahoma State, he runs just as hard and as physical as Najee does. So, like, you've got to be able to wrap those guys up, and you've got to have multiple hats on. If you don't, I mean, you're not gonna bring them down one-on-one very often. So Stu brought it up, you brought it up. The time possession was huge. And, I get at the end they still had the ball twice in the Steelers' red zone and came away with just 6 points on those 2 trips. But the drive of the game that completely changed the outcome of the game was that 21-play drive. Why? Well, because Carolina didn't have the ball in the second half till 3:17 left in the third quarter. So when they had the ball for 11 and a half minutes, I think that drive was 11:36 or something like that, and you look at the total time possession and there's 13 minutes of differential, like, there you go. You take that game, that play or that series out, say it's just a normal, 5 or 8 play drive, that's going to give you probably an extra possession or 2. And that's going to give you more chances at the plate. So that drive was a killer for sure. Offensively, I think what I saw was a lot of the same thing. There was too much predictability in the offense, and I think we've seen that at times. And I think over the last couple of weeks, Ben McAdoo's done a good job of changing things up. But, man, you got to change the picture. Like, if you're not changing the picture, the defense is going to know exactly what you're doing. Even if you're running multiple things out of the same formations, teams are going to catch on to that. And when you load the box and take away the run, you're going to get the offense you saw yesterday.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats here, and I did go back and look at the I watched the highlights on ESPN, and then I watched the the condensed game on YouTube just to get a vibe of the game. The Panthers have been averaging 191 yards rushing in the 5 wins that they've had so far this year. But I've noticed,
they had 21 yards.
21 yards on 16 carries. It was the 5th lowest total in franchise history. They basically stacked the box and dared Sam Darnold to beat them. Deonta Foreman had 9 yards on 10 carries. I mean, and that happened in the Ravens game. Literally the same script. It felt like, and Cincinnati, now that I think about it, the ones that we have lost have been like this, where we just can't get off running the football. And then not so much we abandoned the run because they were still trying to run it in the second half. We just didn't have it. We just didn't have the football. We couldn't get them off the field. It was so basic in terms of why we lost that football game. And I was seeing from Steeler fans, they were worried about Mitch Trubisky being in there. But if you look at the stats, I'm looking at the stats side by side with Sam Darnold. They basically played the same game, the same stats for the most part. Trubisky was 17 for 22, 169 yards passing, 8 yards per throw. He didn't have as much pressure up front. And we can talk about that because Sam got sacked 4 times. But Sam 14 for 23 for 188. I mean, it was basically the same quarterback playing for both teams. But we might need to discuss our offensive line. We've been giving them flowers pretty much all year, but that may have been the worst outing for the offensive line all year. What were your thoughts on that? Because I thought that kind of dictated the story too, that the offensive line just couldn't control the line of scrimmage.
Well, I think it goes back to us saying who the Steelers are, right? Their identity is what it is, and it will continue to be what it is, which is, hey, we are going to play defense. We're going to play smart football. And they did that yesterday. They took advantage of, I think, the fact that the Carolina Panthers, this is the first time in 3 years these guys have played a meaningful game.
Yeah.
And so, the pressure's there, the pressure's to perform, to protect the house, to protect the bank, knowing what's at, stake and whatnot. I think what we saw yesterday was Steelers star players show up across the whole board. TJ Watt, he's playing with a messed up chest or pec, whatever his situation is, but it's not an excuse for him. You know what I'm saying? He went out there and he showed up. When you look at Alex Highsmith, a Charlotte local guy, right? He played here at the university. He took advantage of the moment of being back in Charlotte, and he played well. Just showing up and making plays. Cameron Hayward, first of all, wow, right? He's not a good player. He's a great player because he shows up, for like the last decade. Like you have guys on a roster that you can't just, put on the back burner. You can't just say, oh, we'll show up and we'll run the ball, we'll run duo, we'll do what we do and they'll lay down. No, it's not the case. This needs to be an opportunity to learn that this is the NFL. Like these guys get paid, and there's guys on the other side of the ball that have made a legacy. They've made a living on what they do and what they do best. And we saw that yesterday out of their star players. Deontay Jackson, or Johnson, not Jackson, the receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, he got 10 targets and he caught all 10. Okay. So, I mean,
I don't like if there's a bad time to play an opponent. I mean, I guess there really is. If there's a good time, there's a bad time. But I think this was actually a good time to play a team like Pittsburgh because it can kind of humble you a little bit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Going through this, mowing through people, and you're physically imposing your will on every team that you play, and then you play a front that has Cameron Hayward and TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Like they've got some dudes in that front seven, and it kind of humbled them a little bit. And you look at the rest of the schedule: Detroit, Tampa, New Orleans. Those are defensive fronts that Carolina should whip. Like I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
at least from all year. This is an opportunity for them to kind of get humbled a little bit before they go down the rest of the stretch against teams that they should be able to do work against. Iron sharpens iron. We've heard that for how many years? Like,
Yeah.
that perfect example of it right here.
The Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers, mentioned he threw a little schematics at the Panthers to slow down the run game. They used an extra big defensive lineman, Marvin Leal, 6'4", 290, just to kind of put some more meat in there. Panthers the offensive line just couldn't open any holes.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it, the past month on here. We haven't been hiding anything in terms of what the Panthers are doing. They're running the football. You let them get off for 35 carries and 150 plus yards, they're probably going to win the football game because they're probably controlling time of possession and everything else. If they don't, I think that's the thing that stood out to me. There is no middle. Like, it's like either we bump you upside the head for 160, 170 yards and like we're just rolling, or we can't get nothing together
Nothing done
at all. Like, it'll be like 10 carries for like 23 yards for like the whole day. And you're like, is this the same team? Like, is this the same team that ran on Seattle for that much last week?
This felt more like Baltimore than Cincinnati because of just how ineffective the run game was. But it was like they were never out of the game. Like, they still had those 2 trips to the red zone where they could have easily took the lead. It seemed like they were about to have all the momentum. I think it was some point in the fourth quarter when Frankie Louvu got the sack, they forced the punt, and then it's like, okay, here they go. But they just could not finish the drive. And I don't know why that was. I'll say this. I don't know what the heck Ben McAdoo was thinking on 3rd and goal and calling a quarterback draw.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I did watch that live, and I was like, what in the world? Because like it looked like Sam realized the call was bad as the call was going on. Like, as soon as he had it and took a step back, and he was like, oh, I got to run this myself. He took a couple steps forward and realized there was nothing. There was nowhere to go.
Those athletic linebackers that they have and guys on the edge that they have, like, there's no way.
No. It's just,
you got to have a pass in there somewhere. Like, if you want to have an RPO, fine, but not just a straight up draw. Like, in that situation,
with Sam Darnold.
Like, it's like when I was watching the game, with our running game and how it was going, I usually don't do this, right? Like, I had thought of the phrase "know when to fold them," right? Because, like, and I say that because I look at the games that we've lost where our running game just didn't come together the right way. Complementary football is when something isn't working, the other piece has to work. You know what I'm saying? It has to work. And which means out the gate, throughout the whole entire game, the Steelers were one safety high the whole entire game. Like, there was a couple times.
From what I counted, I think they had two safeties twice.
Yeah. Like, they out the gate had a game plan, which was, we're taking away your run game. Now what? Okay. So at that point, like, I want to see us give the ball to DJ Moore. He had 6 targets. He caught it 5.
Yeah.
Give him 10 targets. You know what I'm saying? Like some drag, some flats, and some slants. Like, put it on him. Like, let's not, settle for these, Rain Man throws down the field for his big, opportunity. Like, I'm looking at this game, and there has to be another way. And we need to be able to challenge defenses in other facets other than just sticking to the run game. And this is the first time I've ever said this. So because we're in a time now in December where you have no room for error. So you have to get it right. So you have to be able to throw the ball when you have to throw the ball. You have to, especially in the red zone, we have to be able to score touchdowns.
They didn't even try, did they? To throw it?
No, and I'll tell you this: other teams are watching the Carolina Panther games.
Yep.
I bet you the Detroit Lions, they're going to be tired, sore, beat up on this away game that they're coming to Carolina in. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a bully game. Like, they like to run the ball. They have high-powered offense at this point in the season. And their defense is going to look at our offense and say, well, let's go single high. Let's
stack
see
the
what
box.
let's stack the box and see what they do.
You almost have to like look at the offense and think, why don't they just start play actioning teams to death? Because if not, I mean, look at the last, I want to say 4 or 5 games, and look at the first 2 drives for Carolina every time. I guarantee you, first and second down, every single time is just run, whether it be counter, trap, zone, like whatever. It's going to be a run. Why not surprise them? Go play action on first and second down each time. Get those safeties to start biting, and then all of a sudden, if they only got one safety deep, and your guy beats his man, hello, you got
the whole game. Yeah.
So start play action to death and start rolling Sam out more. We saw last week Sam Darnold was good on the move.
Yeah.
Him out the pocket.
I will say, because it didn't sound like they announced the starter for next week yet. He hadn't officially said it's going to be Sam Darnold. Just thinking on it, I don't think I want PJ Walker back as starter because the offense is way more limited when they have him in. At least Sam was throwing down the field yesterday.
Sam Darnold is our best quarterback right now.
He's got to stay the rest of the month. Like we won't talk about next year or the draft or the future. We're just talking about right now, like in December.
As non-existent as the pass game was at times, he still didn't throw a pick yesterday.
No.
Right. He hasn't been turning the ball over. Yeah. I mean, and again, even in that Baltimore game, it didn't feel like we were like getting stomped or anything. And it didn't last yesterday either. It didn't feel like we were just getting beat down. It just felt like keep away. Like they wouldn't let us have the ball. Like, I mean, it really just boiled down to that. Brad Holt says he's not all in on Al Holcomb or Ben McAdoo. I watched the Al Holcomb press conference last week before the game. That was on Thursday, actually. It was what you had to leave for while we were doing the preview episode. And I went back to YouTube that night and watched it just to kind of get a vibe for Al Holcomb. I like Al Holcomb. I like his whole demeanor. I like what he's very clear. You can see that he's cut from the same cloth as Steve Wilkes. I don't think Holcomb was the problem yesterday. I think it's more of a matter of execution. For CJ Henderson's ankle injury affected the entire defense.
That was huge.
Keith Taylor is burnt toast this morning. Like he was just getting wet up like the whole day.
I got to give credit to Keith though, because he took those questions. I put it on Twitter. He took those questions like a true pro. Like those games, and Stu can probably attest to this. When you have a really bad game and it's clear, and you're going to get bombarded with questions as to why you had such a bad game, like those are tough questions to answer. Like you don't have the answer to what just happened, but you got to sit there. He took the blame for it. I got to give him credit.
I think this will be a good learning moment for him. Anyways, I like Keith. I like his size, his speed. I mean, there was a lot of there's a couple plays where he was right there, and as a defensive player, you got to have that goldfish memory. Because you got to get back to work soon, buddy. And I honestly think this was because of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers loss. I feel like this, if there's any positive note, we lost this game, so we can feel what it feels like to lose a meaningful game.
And so earlier in the year too about like having the injuries happen when they happen. Well, maybe this is the perfect time for CJ to go down, because if you're playing for your playoff life in week 18, CJ Henderson goes down in the first quarter. Keith Taylor's got to go in there and have hardly no experience. Now he's going to have this plus 3 other weeks to build off of.
Right.
Yeah, that's true too. We'll see if these other teams take advantage of what Pittsburgh kind of unlocked yesterday. I mean, again, if we're not going to change it up, like Schuyler said, and do some play action or RPO or just something to give them a different look. Just stack them out in the box and just dare them to try to run through 9 guys.
Because if you think about it, man, our first down success rate in games that we have lost, like, it's been terrible. And so, which really makes you predictable as an offense. If a team really wanted to dial in and study the Carolina Panthers, they'll look at all the second and third downs when first down didn't go well. And I'm pretty sure everything will match up, and it will just become a shrunk. Like it would just shrink in the sense of what we do on those downs. So which is easier to prepare for.
One of the coaches I had in high school, and I didn't really think of it like this when I played, but when you start to really dive into what he said, it kind of makes a lot of sense. When you fail on first down, doesn't matter if you get no gain or you lose yardage, it essentially becomes third down on second down.
Right.
Because you're going to have to throw the ball. And when you play behind the chains and you're automatically having to throw and the team knows it, I mean, you're putting yourselves in a terrible situation. And
yeah,
I don't know.
We're not even doing that, though. We're still running the ball when we're behind on first down.
Yeah,
that's,
And then that's the problem, too.
But that's the predictability, though, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're just going to still be one high.
Yeah.
Single high. Hey.
Run through those 9 guys.
You stay in the middle. Stay in the middle. Everybody. Stay
I don't
up
know
here.
play action or if it's doing some screens or some rubs. Like, you've got to get guys open. If they can't get open, find a way to get them open. And like I said, maybe that's rubbing, Shi Smith or Terrace Marshall into somebody to where it frees open DJ Moore. I don't know. DJ can win his own battles, but when he's the only reliable guy right now in this offense, or the only consistent guy, there's going to be guys that are going to be they're going to be pressing him, number one. They're going to have a safety over the top, number two. That only safety is going to be on DJ's side. So you've got to be able to get him open.
We got to get him. I want to see him more, DJ moving more pre-snap. If we get him moving more pre-snap, that will mess up the defense.
Kind of like what they're doing with Chenault. What they're doing,
right.
They're doing that jet sweep thing with Chenault, either left or right or whatever, kind of just to get them moving. You can do that.
Just get him moving, because yesterday he was DJ Moore's our best offensive player.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So right now in December, we need the ball in the hands of our best players. DJ Moore should have 10 targets.
Brad Tippett brings up a good observation here. Do you think our style of offense just doesn't work against a 3-4 defense? I feel like there are always issues against the 3-4. Baltimore was a 3-4, wasn't they? Yeah.
They're 3-4 multiple, but I don't really think it has anything to do with the scheme. It's just making the plays, number one, but number two, like, you have to change the picture. Like I said, you can't have a clear picture for defense and expect for it to work. You have to muddy that thing up, like Stu said, get some pre-motion movement and put, where was the Arby's package yesterday?
Yeah, where was the meat? Where
was the Arby's package? Where was Cade Mays? I don't even know if Cade Mays logged any snaps yesterday. Like, give them some weird-looking stuff. Even if Cade Mays is in the game, I don't know. I'll have to go back and try and figure it out. I'm pretty sure every time Cade's been on the field, it's been a run. Why not play action that thing and send DJ deep downfield? Because if Cade's on the field, they're going to know it's a run.
You know what? You mentioned the 21 play drive from earlier being the difference in this game. And if you look at the stats, that's literally it. Like, I feel a little better about it today looking at everything. Cause like, you know how it is at the end of a Panther game when they lose, you're kind of like, oh man, we're horrible. We can't do anything right. Blah, blah, blah. You're all kind of down on yourself. And then like you get a night's sleep and you kind of look back on everything, maybe review some tape. And I'm just kind of looking at the stats. Literally, it was that drive. That 21 play drive was the difference in this game. And if you look through the stats, you see how Pittsburgh's numbers were off of that 21 play drive. Like, if that drive didn't exist, Carolina might have messed around and won this football game somehow. But Pittsburgh did what they did.
How about Marcus Allen literally gifting the Panthers free points when he came into the huddle?
Yeah, number 27.
I
want to call him by his name. Number 27.
Pittsburgh was one of the most undisciplined teams we have come across this year. They had a couple of bonehead penalties that just kept drives alive for us.
Let's talk about that, DJ. Well coached, but undisciplined.
Didn't make any sense.
Of fools out there. So Steelers fans, I want you to know something. They well coached. You just got some knuckleheads on your team. That's the reason why that's the reason why you are where you are.
Yeah.
So
it ain't just one.
Don't be putting Coach Tomlin on no hot seat or anything like that after this year.
Did the player not know that was illegal? That you can't go stand in the other team's huddle? Like, it just doesn't feel right. Like, where do you just stand like his Pop Warner? Like, they ain't gonna notice.
Coincidentally, not only did they have an unsportsmanlike on that, but they had the unsportsmanlike on the opening kickoff of the second half that put them at the 9-yard line on that 21-yard or play drive.
Yeah. So they're kicking themselves in the back just to make it work, and they still were doing it. I don't know. Like every time, like I said, I would look over, it was like the Steelers have some dumb penalty, like a lot of unsportsmanlike contact, like after the play was over, taunting, the weird huddle thing. Like they gifted Carolina. You're right. They kept Carolina in position because that was 4th down on one of those, right? Like they were getting ready to punt.
27.
Yeah.
4th and 27, and not even in field goal. Johnny Heck was about to trot out there because they weren't even in field goal range.
And then, next thing I know, it's 1st and 10. Carolina. I was like, what?
Cam Hayward sack. Al Smith sack. 4th and 27. Yeah. And this fool had to go into the huddle and be like, let me get y'all first.
Smiling. Like the whole time, smiling, standing there like, hey, you guys, what's going on, man? What's up? I was just
somebody
like,
come get y'all look. Somebody come get y'all look, brother.
Yeah.
What's wrong with him? Let's talk about these 3rd down efficiencies right quick, too.
All right.
Because this is a problem, right?
12 of 16.
12 of 16. Oh, my God.
That's not gonna work.
It goes back to that drive in the 3rd quarter. But my goodness, boy, like I don't know if I've been a part of a game like that. I probably have. Who knows?
We're just snowballs, and like you just can't get them off the field.
I mean, we rushed the ball 16 times, 16, and it's not. It's almost like it's dawning on us right now as we're talking about it. I'm thinking back over this game, and I'm finding my answers as I'm going through this talk with y'all. But 16 carries. Whose fault is it? It's not. It's the 3rd down. Is it the 3rd down's fault?
See, you sound like me. You woke up Monday with blame on your heart. You wanted to blame somebody. Somebody had to be responsible for this. Like this couldn't just magically happen. Someone intentionally caused this to happen. And it's not like they passed the football in exchange for a whole bunch of attempts.
It's just that we could not convert. We have to convert. These 3rd downs. We need to win on 1st down, first of all. And if we don't win on 1st down, we better get active with DJ Moore.
We got
to find a way.
We had 0 rushing 1st downs yesterday. We had 10 passing 1st downs, but 0 on the ground. Meanwhile, the Steelers had 9 passing 1st downs and 13 rushing 1st downs in the game yesterday.
You know how you can easily tell that Pittsburgh just whipped Carolina up front? Mitch Trubisky had 2 quarterback sneaks of 5 yards.
Oh, and he almost popped one.
Yeah.
He almost popped 2. The 2 of them, he almost popped. Like, I was like, wait a minute, that's a 5-yard game.
Sneak my thing over.
Oh,
man.
Point of contact. You got to win at point of contact.
Willie Smith, believe in Carolina Panthers super fan. Thanks for joining us this morning, Willie. He says, good morning. My thoughts before the game. Panthers would have had to play Steeler football better than the Steelers, control the line, defense, and offense. We didn't do that. And you're right. I mean, we said that Thursday, like we got to be the Steelers basically going in. Like traditionally, the Steelers have been like that for as long as I've been alive. And I don't know why people count Mike Tomlin out. I mean, I don't know if they can. Well, he won't finish above 500 this year because they're.
No, they can. If they won out.
So he can still. He still got a shot if he wins out. I would not count that man out. Mike Tomlin, one of all-time greats.
Mike Tomlin, the Steeler way.
Yeah. I mean, and I know some folks. I saw toxic Panther Twitter come out yesterday after the game. I know they were waiting for a loss or something to happen to flip the switch back to, we back in the quarterback sweepstakes. I don't know about Coach Wilkes. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. It's one game. It was one game. We're still, like I said before.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
We got to.
You kidding me?
No.
Playoffs?
We got to talk about it.
This was Steve's his post game message to the people in the press conference. He's like, I don't want anybody in here in this building to say playoffs or talk about playoffs.
Right.
I heard Steve. I'm not in the building, so we're gonna talk about playoffs a little bit.
Yeah, they listen as a player, you cannot look ahead. You can't. No. In December, you cannot look ahead.
But we're not players.
As fans,
right now.
We can do it.
We can do it.
We might not want to talk about it, too often, but we can think about it. We can talk about it. We talking about it because that's what we have to look forward to. But I just want to talk about some pop. Let's get some sugar today to some guys.
Ooh.
Shout out to Shaq Thompson and Jeremy Chin. The way they were flying around yesterday, that was I at least we saw those two guys, Frankie Louvu, guys that just are flying around, getting to
Brian
the ball.
Burns. Brian Burns got a
And
key sack.
it wasn't perfect football by any means, but those are the things when you have a game like this and you have your star players and you see them on the field making plays and trying, to their best to will an advantage against their opponent. I saw that out of those guys yesterday. 14 tackles, 12 tackles. I think Frankie Louvu had 8. Xavier Wood. The DBs, that secondary was getting a lot of work yesterday. So
I didn't expect that from Trubisky tossing it around.
This week, they got to make sure they, lick their wounds, heal up, because it's a short week. Play on Saturday.
I was
Christmas Eve.
yeah. So they play Saturday. I just saw it on ESPN. I thought we were playing Sunday. What time do they play Saturday?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Okay, because I got a Christmas Eve party going on at my house at 4, or 5, or whatever time it is. So
hopefully the Panthers make that thing nice.
Yeah, there's gonna be a whole lot of drinking at that Christmas Eve party if they lose. So we gotta figure out this out. So it's on the back of everybody's mind, and I've mentioned a couple times already. Nothing changed yesterday because of what happened around the conference or the division in terms of we woke up Sunday having to win out and we control our playoff destiny. We lost the game, but because of what happened around the division, we win out, we control our playoff destiny, and we'll win the NFC South. The only difference now is that they would win it sub 500. They'd win it at 8-9 instead of 9-8. Which does that bother either one of you if that happened?
No.
Thank you. It didn't bother me at all. Whatever. It's the new 500. Yeah, just get in, and you're hosting a playoff game. So there's only been 3 teams that have made the postseason with a losing record since 1982. The Commanders did it. The Commanders did it 2020 at 7-9. The Panthers did it at 7-8-1 in 2014. And the Seahawks were the first to do it in 2010 at 7-9. The Seahawks and the Panthers both won their playoff games in those years. The Commanders lost to Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, and the Bucs 23-21 in the first round. The Bucs went on to win the Super Bowl. The Bucs are the only team in the NFC South that can still win the NFC South with a winning record, and they have to win out to do that. They are at 6-8 right now. The rest of the division is at 5-9. The Bucs, just to frame this all up for everybody, they're at Arizona versus Carolina at home, and then at Atlanta to finish the year. The Panthers, I'll be honest, I'm kind of looking at the Panthers like they're the only ones that have an excuse, really, as to why their record is what it is. Like, they fired their coach mid-season. They traded off their best player a week later, a starting wide receiver same week. They have reasons as to why they are where they are. I can't come up with those reasons for Atlanta, New Orleans, or Tampa Bay, because you guys.
I can tell you why Atlanta's got excuses, because they suck.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're garbage. They're garbage.
Bad.
Garbage.
But somehow they're in the same exact spot we are in terms of, now it's a little bit harder for Atlanta to get there. Atlanta, they'll get eliminated from the wild card contention if they lose next week, but they remain alive in the division race. They play at Baltimore, home versus Arizona, and then home versus Tampa Bay. Yeah, they need stuff to happen. The Bucs have to lose their final 3 games. We have to lose to the Saints and the Lions, and the Saints have to lose to the Browns and the Eagles. So Falcons, they're not exactly on the same path as everybody else.
They're still in the picture.
The Saints can make the playoffs at 7-10 as long as they beat us. They would need the Bucs to lose their final 3, us to lose to the Lions and Falcons, or the Lions, and then the Falcons have to lose to either the Ravens or Cardinals. So us and Tampa Bay are still the only ones where winning you're in. You win all 3, you win the division. Tampa, you win all 3, you win the division at 9-8. We win all 3, we win the division at 8-9. And it makes it where those 2 games at the end, we have Tampa Bay and New Orleans, now are like the most important games of the year for us. Really, the most important game of the year is the next one, and that's Detroit. Because if we lose to Detroit, none of this really matters.
neither one of those two teams are going to win out.
That's a scenario. I have no idea what happens then. Then it's like a 7-10 team is going to win the division, and it's like whatever. I mean,
neither one of those are going to win out.
My friends want me to be like, they want me to go around saying my Panthers suck. If we win the division with a sub 500 record, we suck. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that. They're still a division winner. I don't care if they were 5-16 and won it or whatever. They're still the better team in the division. The division might be crap, but we all know that. We all are aware. This isn't new. Like, we've known this all year. They've played 500 football, the whole division, the whole year. So we've all known whoever came out of this division, 8 wins, 9 wins, was probably going to win it. And that's where we're headed.
Who would they be hosting right now? Would it be Dallas?
I think it's Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dallas could drop 45 on you one day and then come out the next week and only score 17. And you're like, what the hell's going on? So
it's the NFL.
That would now that's the Disney movie right there. We win the division. You host Dallas. You beat Dallas in a playoff game. Steve Wilkes
smack them right upside the head. Yeah,
that's the only scenario. Let me ask y'all this, because I was thinking about this last night. Does Steve Wilkes have to win this division to become the full-time head coach next year?
I don't think so.
I mean, I'm trying to think of David Tepper, like, because I still feel like I don't know. He said he has to do a lot, but he never really specified what a lot is. Like, that's a moving goalpost to me. Like,
Man,
what's a lot? Steve
Wilkes has changed the culture already. Period. The whole stadium rocks different. People talk different. I mean, that's a lot.
There's more respect now. There's a certain level of respect to what the Panthers are doing now nationally that wasn't there with Matt Rule, where people were kind of talking behind our backs. Actually, not even talking behind our back. They were talking to our face. Like, hey,
hey, you Panther fans, shut up.
Y'all are nothing. Y'all are meaningless. So that actually helps me for my weekend planning. So the Panthers play Saturday at 1:00. I believe that's
coming to your party, Desmond.
Come on through, man. Come on. My wife hooks up this Christmas punch. We're doing the white elephant game where you can give away something.
What kind of stuff in there? Vodka, gin, what?
Oh man,
tequila, bourbon, whiskey.
It's like a mix of like she used to be a bartender, so like it's got a bunch of good stuff in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on through here on Christmas Eve. Yeah. I'm up here in Kernersville. You know, we do the white elephant game where you take something from your house, wrap it up, and bring it in, and then you got a group of people. They pick a gift, they open it. If they don't want it, they can trade it to somebody else or take their gift. So it's gonna get rowdy a little bit later on Christmas Eve. But like I said, I still feel okay. I'm still fine in terms of where we are. I'm just happy that I've got football to watch that's meaningful in December. Again, we've gone since 2017 having a December where we were actually in the games. You know how hard it is? Stu, you weren't here last year, but me and Schuyler went through it last year. It's hard to talk about the Panthers when it's like they're eliminated, they're just losing games, they're just going through the motions. It's December the 12th or whatever. You still got 3 more games to talk about. It's rough, it's hard.
Remember Tampa Bay week 18 last year when the Bucs were getting going again, and it's just
they beat the brakes off us, didn't they?
Yeah, it was
score, but it was
audition maybe.
I think we were looking at it like, well, maybe this will get Matt Rule fired, and it didn't. It didn't even matter. Like in the end.
Can I tell y'all why I'm mad right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Special edition here. What's up?
The Denver Broncos.
What'd they do?
Latavius Murray was the answer the whole year.
Oh, that coach got to get fired. Like, this is like, criminal. This whole year.
It really dawned on me when we played them. I was like, dang, they got Latavius Murray. Like, Latavius Murray is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why aren't you utilizing him the way a horse should be utilized?
Are coaches just outthinking themselves? Because we had that here. Rule had Foreman on the bench the first 5 games and didn't really run him at all. Like, or was that the offensive coordinator?
Because I'm thinking, like, Russell Wilson is at his best when he has a solid running game, as is any quarterback, right? So
he's made his money.
When he was with the Seahawks, when they had a running game, he was at his best. Even so, the running game, like the Super Bowl, like that whole decision to run or pass. You lost that game because you decided to do the wrong thing.
Yep.
So like
everyone knew. Like everybody,
Right.
the stadium, the refs, like everyone's like,
I've got the hot question for y'all. Right now, would you take Russell Wilson or Sam Darnold to lead your offense?
which
ooh.
offense? Which offense? The Carolina offense or the Denver offense?
Any offense. If
Any
you had to
offense.
start your franchise for the next 5 years, which quarterback you take?
Like
Oh, man.
like the
'Cause-
quarterback, like Russell Wilson, like his like who he is right now.
yeah.
Right now.
Like right now, he's got a concussion, concussion protocol.
No.
Right.
You know,
Let's ride. I think I would. How old is Russell Wilson? Like 35?
30 something, yeah.
Or
30.
he ain't a spring chicken no more. Problem is Darnold's 25 or 26 or something.
I'm taking Sam Darnold. It's so
I think
it
I
feels so
Sam.
weird to say.
Yeah, it was.
But
Sam
listen.
was like a game manager to me, like the
Look.
quintessential game manager. If you put him in the right spot, Russell ain't a game manager, although he really kind of is.
I'm taking Sam Darnold. If I can build a team around a guy, I'm taking Sam.
But I
I'm
just
like-
tell you how
And I'm doing that in a way that's like, yo, give me some weapons like the 49ers, offense. Give me an offensive line that is like the offensive line from Dallas 5 years ago. Like we rocking and rolling, baby.
Darnold
like,
behind that, yeah.
all these Panthers fans have been talking about how much the Carolina gave up for Sam. They gave up a second, a fourth, and a sixth. They recouped one of those six in another trade and
Yep.
found a way to get back up in another trade. So, like, you think about that compared to what Denver gave up, and Studio City,
And then the money. That
Like-
ain't counting the money bags on top of what they gave up. They gave up $250 million to this man. Like he.
Yeah, man. I'm taking Sammy.
I think I would take Sam too in that situation. Again, I haven't had a problem with Sam Darnold the past. How long has he been starting now? 3 weeks, 4 weeks? I haven't had an issue with Sam really at all. Other than I think I've had an issue with the play calling. Like let him loose a little bit because we know Sam can throw it. Now that he's kind of comfortable and he's got a run game with him. Once you get that established a little bit, like we said earlier,
Yeah.
open up the play action, open up smart. Do something.
All I know is I think Sam deserves an apology from a lot of people because right now he's carrying the torch the best he can.
I mean,
in this moment, in this time of the season, you know, we play meaningful games and we got a quarterback that we feel good about to turn the TV on to watch. And some people need to apologize to Sam. I know a lot of people saying some really mean things, hurtful things on Twitter. I need to apologize.
I said some mean things about him on this podcast last year, but again, that was last year. And a lot of Sam was throwing directly into the numbers of defenders last year. It was like, yo, he ain't on our team.
Desmond's apologizing. He's sorry.
I mean, I've been giving Sam his flowers this year. Actually, like I just said, I'd rather see him than PJ Walker back out there again. Like you put PJ out there, to me, it's like waving a white flag. Like we can't do some of these things, so we're just gonna put PJ back out there again and just punt on the season. With Sam, you still have you kind of have a shot in terms of we haven't seen Sam Darnold's ceiling really. Like, what's the best Sam Darnold game you can recall that he had? You know, like, is there a standout game where Sam just put it on somebody?
I mean, I'm trying to think in that 3-game stretch last year.
Maybe that Arizona game. No, they struggled a little bit after McCaffrey got hurt.
He did play bad. Well, no, I wouldn't say bad. He had those 2 pick sixes or 2 bad picks against Dallas, but he was partially the reason why they came back.
Yeah.
Or even in, I can't remember how that game shook out, but it was either in that game and then New Orleans last year. He didn't play bad. I mean, he's had some moments. You've seen it. It's just not all come together.
I guess not play bad, but is Sam the type of quarterback that can bring you back 2 scores down? Like, is he that guy? Is he the guy like a Pat Mahomes, a Josh Allen, not to say talent level, but just
I'm about to say, boy, what you talking
no,
about?
no. I mean, hell, he got drafted second overall or whatever. No, I just mean like, do you feel confident like if the Panthers get down that they can depend on Sam Darnold to bring them back in the passing game when they haven't even been calling that in the offense? Like, I think that's my only concern with Sam.
Let me ask you this: are you saying 2 scores like they need a touchdown and a field goal, or 2 touchdowns?
Just 2 drives to get in 2 scores. 2 scores. Like, do you trust Sam Darnold midway through the fourth quarter down 10 points to get you down the field twice to tie the game? Like, are we there yet? Because if we are, then what are we talking about with Sam in terms of other quarterbacks? It's his for the rest of the year. But if there's some doubt there, what do you do? Because you can't really go back to PJ and Baker across the country. So what do we do? Is that time to call Cam? Is that what we call Cam? It's like, hey.
I felt good about it. I felt good about him yesterday.
I did too.
It's just we didn't have time, bro.
Yeah.
And I think the pocket. What I would like to see is like never don't fold when you under pressure. Like yesterday, you got hit 4 times, sacked 4 times.
Yeah, a couple of those were like right up the middle.
And shoot, like I'm glad I didn't play quarterback because I would have been running for my life if I got hit blindsided or something.
One of those behind, like Sam went even left, and dude just came unabated from the right and just clobbered him. And then there was another one where the dude just came right up the middle of the line, like unblocked, like right at Sam's face, and Sam had nowhere to go. They were bombarded. The offensive line was bombarded yesterday. That might have been the worst game of the year.
Yeah, but I'd like to see like when things aren't going perfect or going that well at the line of scrimmage, I would just love to see a guy just step up in there, take a hit, just shuffle a little bit to the left or to the right to make that throw and get smacked. Because those are the plays that you say to yourself, dang, he made a great throw under pressure. And
for it.
Those types of throws happen in the red zone. Where you see guys under pressure, getting hit, making a throw, and connecting with the receiver for a score. And we could have saw that yesterday. We didn't towards the end there, but I don't know, man. I think this is a good opportunity for this team to grow. Because, I mean, every game, every week, there is an opportunity to grow and learn. And I think this is a great opportunity for the Carolina Panthers to, find out who they really are. The Detroit Lions, we'll talk about them later this week, but they're a team, essentially, they are who we want to be. The way they've been playing the last 7 games? What win streak they're on? Are they on a 6-game win streak? Or 7?
6 of the last 7, they've won 3 straight.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So they won 6 of the last 7.
Yeah,
so I mean that is essentially what good teams do. They win. So I mean, Detroit Lions coming in here 7-7, they're a good team. And if you want to go to the playoffs and not just go to the playoffs, but win and build on the culture of winning within that organization, this is a good matchup, and we'll see.
So we'll preview that. That's a good place to stop there. We'll preview Panthers versus Lions. That's Saturday at 1 p.m. on Fox. We'll preview that Thursday. I think we'll probably about 11 o'clock. We'll be back on again live. It'll be Tell Them Why You're Mad Thursday, open mailbag. So join us in there. You can watch the content on youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. The audio will be up here shortly through the Believe Podcast Network. All major podcast platforms, you'll be able to stream that throughout the week. We'll be back this upcoming Thursday to preview Panthers versus Lions. And like I said, the NFC South is wide open. One of these teams is going to the playoffs.
The playoffs? Don't talk about
I don't know
playoffs.
Who.
You kidding me?
But we're one of them.
Playoffs?
We could possibly do this. And for those out there that say, oh, but you'll go as an under sub 500 team, we don't care.
So what?
You go away. We don't want to hear that nonsense. We just want to keep playing until the season is over. So Just what were you about to say, Stu?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, haters gonna hate. It's not our fault that this is how this whole playoff thing is designed.
That's the way it is.
If you can get into playoffs at 5-5 and I guess 5-12.
Game, they added the extra game like
if you can go to the playoffs at 5-12 and still go to the Super Bowl,
yeah, go. Everybody's 0-0 as soon as the season's over.
Care what you think.
Begin. I'll tell you what.
I don't care if you don't like my ride. You don't like my Pinto.
I'll tell you what. Dallas don't want to lose to a sub 500 team in the playoffs. I'll tell you that. Like,
no,
they don't want that to happen either. So we'll get into all the nuts and bolts of all this as we go forward. But we got to get out of here. Believe in Carolina Panthers, brought to you by betonline.ag. Go take advantage of that promo code BELIEVE when you go visit them there. And we will see you Thursday live about 11 a.m. Keep pounding.